I don't know what it is with people, but some of them have this knack of spending money they just don't have, and we can see them everywhere. I've had many girlfriends like this, and some mates too, of course. And when push comes to shove, they just complain and wonder why they don't have any money or find themselves in debt. I was going to do a podcast about the NHS today, but as Racheal Reeves took up all the headlines yesterday, I'm going to concentrate on her and what she's decided to do over the course of the next few years. Just like Viv Richardson, who won the football pools back in the day and decided to spend, found herself in the end without any money. It seems that our Racheal is wanting to do the same thing, only it's the country's credit card she wants to blow up by a cool £4 trillion. Now, when Rach decided to give back the winter fuel allowances for the old age pensioners, the other cabinet members of the government told her that they didn't know from where the funds would be coming from for this extra money. Yeah, so even so, yesterday she decided to declare that she's going to spend trillions and trillions of pounds over the next few years without any idea of where the money is going to appear from to finance it all. I mean, if the administration can't find resources for the heating allowance, how on earth will they know where the money is coming from for her multi-trillion-pound spending ambitions? So basically, she's going to flood the economy with borrowed money, and if that doesn't create inflation, I don't know what will. And she's going to put the burden on the taxpayer because there's simply nowhere else to put it. And that means that all of those pay rises she was boasting about, that she was giving away over the last few months, have been for naught. Because people are going to take home less pay. That is, of course, for those who have a job. As job numbers just came in, and it doesn't look very rosy, along with the retraction of 0.3% of GDP. And as I said in a previous podcast, she isn't likely to reduce very much the 550,000 person workforce of the civil service. Starmer will be overlooking all of this like a deer looking into the headlights of an oncoming car. And parallel to all this is a sinister move by no-brainer Rayner. She will be decriminalising rough sleeping next spring. Will that be for the Brits getting kicked out of popular housing to make way for the illegal migrants to move into? Or is it just for in 4 years' time, and there are no more hotel spaces left for the migrants to stay, so that they can sleep outside also? It would of course be interesting what the European Court of Human Rights would have to say about this, or will they allow the UK to become a country of tent cities? Shanty towns, just like they have in France. Will Heathrow Airport look like those of Madrid, Alicante, and Mallorca, with rows upon rows of unhoused sleeping out in the check-in area? Will even more people be using the tube stations as their main home now that they can't be moved on by the police? Bus stations and railway stations lined with people keeping down in their sleeping bags to keep out the winter cold, now that the authorities will not have the right to say, "Move along, sir." And the Reeves mindset is not exclusive to this current administration. It's been coming down the pipe for over the last 20 years from both sides of the house. Now, of course, the big question that needs to be asked is if the new kids on the block will be able to right everything that's been going wrong. It is, after all, a very tall order. There
Right.
you go.
Okay. Yeah. Rach and reach. I think Rach is reaching. Um, yeah. It is an old thing of, yeah, borrow, we'll borrow ourselves and spend ourselves out of the present situation, or we just don't care. I don't know which it is. Yeah. We all know that well, the last administration was bad enough, but this one is absolutely clueless. They haven't quite realised that. Yes, we had an internal problem with too many people already in a dire situation before we started to allow, or the UK started to allow, extra people in who don't have. I'm not going to say any rights to be there. That is to be determined under some sort of asylum things. But yes, certainly it is an issue. You can't have problems in your own house and invite others in to escalate them. Yep. I know people say, "Oh, it's a good charitable thing to do." Even in the Bible, it says, "If you have two coats, give one to somebody that needs it." We don't even The UK doesn't even have one coat. Let alone,
Can't say that. That's if you have two coats.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, so we don't even
Strikes
have
me,
one coat. Yeah.
strikes me that our government has just a turncoat.
Well, they're having to go back on all these radical policies. Yeah, yes, they did. Whether they believe that the old age pensioners had more money than they really did. And I can tell you that, yeah, my father or my people in my family, if not people I know, worked hard for their lives. But it doesn't mean they're millionaires can afford anything. And I think that's a miscalculation this bunch of numpties made. And I'm going to start name calling because I've had enough. Yeah. And um, we all know that Racheal is not the most numerous person around, it would appear, or she's not got numerous
The till
people
girl.
around her. Hey, yeah. Well,
She's a till girl. She's a teller.
yeah. Well, no, whatever she is, yeah.
Say,
I mean.
say it like say it like it is.
Well, one of the first things I learned at school is 2 plus 2 equals 4, not 2 plus 2 equals 6 or 8 or 20. Yeah. And I did.
That's because you had on the interest.
Yeah. Well, and even if you use intricate sums to justify it, you're not going to get there. Yeah. I have seen 2 plus 2 equals 5 under under certain circumstances, but that's a bit of a joke. Yeah. You can prove anything with figures if you so desire, or lose people with them. Well, she hasn't lost people with them; she's lost herself. Yeah, I'm going to make the attacks on her. Okay.
Have you seen them? You've seen those puzzles, Mark,
Yeah.
where you have to move one of the matchsticks
Yeah.
so that it equals 24.
Yeah. Yeah.
Move one of these so that and that's what she's doing.
Yeah. Well,
She's trying to figure out which matchstick to move so that it all works out.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, she hasn't got the brain power to even go near the table to move them. Yeah. And that
I
brings me on to
think you
know.
can.
Yeah, this brings me on to Raina. What is Raina's move? Has she got something like? Um, I will go with the conspiracy theory. I think they're deliberately destroying the UK in order to build it into some sort of utopia. Oh, we're here now. Then we can reshape it into what the image we want. Yeah, they are crazy enough to believe they're actually there. Starmer is the head of all this craziness. Yeah, end of story. Um, it's not even being good charitable people. It's all about power. They see themselves as the elite who can do all this, and yeah, they will be then feel their entitlement to do it. Okay, I've got a phrase, begins with F and ends with an F as well. Yeah, but I don't say it because I'm too polite and too educated, and honestly believe that, yeah, it is a. I do believe that these people are misguided, misjudging, or anything else. I also think Miss Rayner thinks that she's of a caliber to actually run the country as well. Um, I do hope that. I do hope that that doesn't get tested. Um, to say who would be worse, Starmer or Rayner running the country, both the above. Yeah, one way or another. Yeah.
The only thing that's going to be different is the accent.
Well, there's a couple of things, three things for others that would be different, except that Starmer has a problem identifying what they are. So,
And of course, Rainer can put out.
I tell you, I don't. If Rayner and Reeves weren't in the position they were, I really don't know what else they would be doing. Well, I do, but I don't even want to go there. Yeah,
No.
I'm afraid. Yeah. Yeah. I Yeah. Now, when you're saying it, the new kids on the block. Okay, if there's a general election called next week for 8 weeks' time, let's be generous, yeah, 2 months' time, okay? So to allow everyone to get into position to actually do it, not the quick turnaround that um, Wishy-Washy did before, which was a contrivance with, yeah, with Starmer. Let's be honest about it. There's a lot we don't know about in politics that we can guess and surmise, and it all comes out in the history books in 20 years' time. Yeah. Um, yeah. Don't think that Starmer and Rishi are that are mortal enemies. They're not. Yeah. Um, yeah, Starmer did Rishi a favour, personally, in my opinion. Yeah. Probably Starmer's the more ambitious of the two, who doesn't care at all. Um, now you're saying new kid on the block. Okay, let's for argument's say Reform won the next election. Nigel Farage gets in as Prime Minister, goes and meets Charlie, shakes his hand. Yes, you may form a government, etc., etc., etc. Yeah. And let's just think if we actually believe the polls and the figures now, Reform are on track to actually win an election outright. They would not need to form coalitions or anything. Yeah. Which will give Nigel Farage absolute power. Okay. Um, as I keep saying now, they have got such an administration, and when I use administration, I mean administration beneath them, so ingrained in the current policies that um, it would probably take at least 3 months before you even have any impact at all, because you would have to remove them, put your own people in, even if you put your own people at the head, ministers. Yeah. Uh, let's be honest. If Lee Anderson gets in, yeah, and I know I'm going away from the financial situation. We all know what that is, and I can't tell you how to. I know how to balance the books. We said that before. Yeah, I've just alluded to it. Yeah, stop the immigration coming in and sort our own problems out before we start doing anything else. Yeah, or the UK. I'll say we. I don't live in the UK. So if Reform get in, they will have so much opposition. Lee Anderson gets in as whatever position he will get. The first move will be to him is to actually somebody will automatically on the second day or third day put a report in about him doing bullying. Yeah, guaranteed that's going to happen with Lee Anderson. Yeah, and probably a couple of the others who are quite robust individuals as it is. Yeah, they might not always say please and thank you. Yes, yeah, they'll go in and will say something and expect their diktats to be acted upon. Good luck with that. Yeah. Um, they've also now appointed the former chairman in my opinion, in a very good position, something he'll be good at. This Doge-like thing, yeah, to do with work with local councils. Good luck. I wish him all the best of luck with that as well. Yeah, the pushback is going to be immense. Yeah, I'm not saying he's not capable of doing it. He's a strategist. The
Well,
guy,
he's only going to be doing this with councils that are being run by
but yeah,
Reform. So
I'm
if
not.
you get all that much pushback,
He won't get pushback from his own people. They'll get pushback from the civil servants below. Yeah.
yeah.
And there'll be unions involved and again there'll be allegations of bullying and everything else. Yeah. Um this is a state we're in, the UK is in at the moment. Yeah. I'm not saying the people that Reform aren't capable of doing it as individuals at the top. You're imagining that the individuals at the top actually are able to do anything. They're not. Yeah. They're not. In such a system now that has been created in the UK, they will not be able to just go in and just do it. Yeah. Um, yes. I know that they might have the popularity of the people. I doubt whether there's many people in the civil service who will vote for Reform. to begin with. Yeah.
Well, I think also the next elections you're not going to get a majority government,
I think you
and
will.
so
Well,
and
okay,
because
well,
Farage can do a thing that Trump did and just remove swathes and swathes of people who are not going to be toeing the line.
Kenny.
And you could argue that you could argue that he won't be able to do this.
Mm,
But if he has enough MPs in Parliament
that's the
to
point. He has
change
to
the
win
law,
outright. Yeah, that's the point I made.
then
I think he's online to get a majority. Possibly won't be great. I mean, I really, okay, polls can be wrong. Um, I don't know when people use the term populist. Normally, the whole idea of a democracy is the most popular people win. Yeah, that's populist. Yeah, he's not establishment, not as we know it. I still got suspicions
yeah,
that Farage still plays the establishment game because that's how he
that's
knows how
what
to play. Yeah,
that's one of the problems that Reform are going to have
yeah,
is that people who are disgruntled with their own party will
mm,
want to join up to Reform, as
yeah,
some have,
yeah,
and will have family and friends who are civil servants
mm,
who then themselves becoming an MP will not toe the party line and
yeah,
change the law. So these civils, so their family members and friends are
yeah,
going to get sacked.
yeah.
So it is a bit difficult at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a minefield. Let's put it that way. I think Nigel Farage is well aware of it. I think Zia, I forgot that, is well aware of it as well. And I think that might have actually been a little bit of the problems that him and Farage had. They had two different ideas of how to deal with it. Yeah, I think they're of the same mind. They've just got a different approach, and I think it's actually quite sensible where Zia is because I can see him as that he's sort of the engine room, that the person that can do a strategy and do things, yeah, and understand how to get things running like a business. I do think that, and I think he's actually in the position he should have been in the first place. Yeah, okay, he's a big donor, but I think he's probably in a good position. He's probably in some ways as powerful as Farage in the party at the moment. It might be that Farage sees him as a future leader.